What if everything you thought you knew about yourself wasn't actually you? What if your values, your dreams, your fears, even the way you speak or carry yourself, were not born from your essence, but carefully stitched together by invisible hands? From family, culture, society, pain. Now ask yourself this: who are you beneath the noise? Today, we're diving into one of the most hauntingly beautiful truths of the human condition. The idea that most of us are sleepwalking through someone else's story. But awakening is possible. In fact, Carl Jung believed that this awakening isn't just a choice, it's the very purpose of life. So stay with me, because what we're about to explore might unsettle you at first, but it might also liberate you. Let's begin with a moment of reflection. Have you ever felt like you were playing a part? Smiling when you didn't feel joy? Agreeing when your spirit screamed no? Doing the right thing not because it was true to you, but because it was expected? That feeling, that subtle dissonance, is the echo of a deeper truth trying to break through the surface. Carl Jung, a pioneer of analytical psychology, believed that true life doesn't begin at birth. It begins the moment we start asking, who am I? Really, not the name, not the job title, not the roles we perform, but the self beneath the self, the quiet presence watching it all unfold. But if there is such a thing as our real self, why is it so difficult to find? To answer that, we have to rewind to the very beginning. From the moment we are born, we are molded. We are told who we are, sometimes in words, sometimes in glances, in punishments, in praise. We learn what is acceptable, what is beautiful, what is valuable. We inherit beliefs from our families, take on behaviors from our peers, internalize fears from past wounds. And slowly, without realizing it, we start building a version of ourselves that can survive, fit in, be loved. This version of us is what Jung called the persona, the social mask. It helps us navigate the world. It lets us blend in, be liked, be normal. But there's a hidden cost. The more we invest in our persona, the more we distance ourselves from our essence. We begin to forget who we were before the world told us who to be. And then, we confuse the mask with the face. Have you ever achieved something you were told would bring happiness, only to feel a strange emptiness afterward? That's the shadow speaking. Jung believed that alongside the persona, every person also carries a shadow, a hidden repository of everything we suppress, deny, or disown. Our anger, our jealousy, our grief, but also our creativity, our courage, our deepest passions. The shadow is not evil. It's not wrong. It's simply unacknowledged. But what we refuse to acknowledge does not disappear. It festers. It leaks into our relationships, our choices, our moods. It shapes our lives from the dark. Sometimes it shows up in the people we can't stand. Jung famously said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Have you ever been deeply triggered by someone's arrogance, neediness, or coldness? What if that very trait lives unclaimed inside of you? This is projection. We cast what we reject in ourselves onto the canvas of the world. But here's the twist. Within the shadow lie not just our flaws, but our hidden gifts. The passion we buried to be polite. The ambition we silenced to be humble. The truth we swallowed to be accepted. When we integrate the shadow, we reclaim our wholeness. We stop splitting ourselves into good and bad. We begin to live more authentically, more powerfully, and more freely. But most people never get there. Why? Because facing the shadow is uncomfortable. It means peeling back years of conditioning. It means questioning everything you've called me. And it means confronting pain. So we avoid it. We stay busy, distracted, entertained. We scroll, we consume. We chase goals that were never ours. And yet, the disquiet never fully goes away. Because underneath the persona, beneath the shadow, there is something ancient and real. What Jung called the self with a capital S. The organizing center of the psyche. the totality of who we are, conscious and unconscious, light and dark, masculine and feminine. And the journey to this deeper self? Jung called it individuation. Individuation is not self-improvement. It's not becoming better. It's becoming whole. It's not about polishing your image. It's about diving into your depths, seeing clearly what you are, without judgment, and bringing all of it into harmony. But to walk this path, we must be willing to break the spell of who we think we are. We must stop identifying with the mask. And we must start listening to the whispers within, the dreams, the discomforts, the subtle call to something more. Dreams, Jung believed, are one of the purest expressions of the unconscious. Not nonsense or random firings, but coded messages from the parts of us we've lost contact with. Have you ever woken up from a dream that lingered, not in the mind, but in the soul? That's your deeper self knocking. Likewise, symbols, images, myths, stories hold profound power in Jungian thought. Why? Because they bypass the rational mind and speak directly to the unconscious. Which brings us to one of Jung's most famous ideas, archetypes. Archetypes are not characters. They are universal patterns of experience etched into the collective unconscious, something we all share regardless of culture or time. The mother, the warrior, the trickster, the seeker, the sage. You've seen them in myths, fairy tales, movies, but more importantly, you've lived them. Have you ever felt the pull to rebel, to protect, to heal, to search? That was an archetype waking up in you. And each archetype invites us into a deeper layer of our psyche. They show up in our relationships, our challenges, and our transformations. Take the hero, for example. This archetype is about growth, struggle, triumph. It is the part of you that senses you were made for more and is willing to risk comfort for the sake of becoming. But the hero always meets resistance. That resistance is often the shadow in disguise, a dragon to face, a temptation to resist, a part of yourself that must be reconciled before you can move forward. So the hero's journey is not out there, it's in here, in every hard decision, every honest moment, every time you choose truth over convenience. And that's what individuation ultimately is, the hero's journey inward. A journey from unconscious living to conscious becoming, from fragmentation to unity, from persona to self. And it doesn't happen all at once. It's not linear, it's not always graceful, but it is worth it, because the cost of avoiding this path is immense. It is the cost of regret, of inauthenticity, of looking back at your life and wondering whose story you were living. But here's the good news. It's never too late to begin, not by reinventing yourself, but by rediscovering what's been waiting inside you all along. So, I'll ask you one more time, who are you beneath the noise? Are you willing to find out? Because the moment you say yes, that's the moment life truly begins. Have you ever noticed how certain characters and stories feel eerily familiar? The wise mentor, the tragic outcast, the hero who must rise, the villain we love to hate. These aren't just fictional devices. They are mirrors of the soul. Symbols born from something much older than language, much deeper than culture. Carl Jung called them archetypes, universal patterns that exist within the collective unconscious, a psychic inheritance passed down through generations. These archetypes shape how we think, feel, dream, and relate to the world, whether we realize it or not. You might ask, how can something unconscious affect my life so strongly? But consider this. Why are we drawn to the same kinds of people? Why do we replay the same emotional patterns in relationships? Why do certain films, myths, or songs stir something indescribable within us? That's not just psychology. That's mythology alive inside your mind. You're not just living a personal story. You're embodying a timeless pattern, one that has echoed through the lives of countless humans before you. Why do certain films, myths, or songs stir something indescribable within us? It's because these stories don't just entertain us, they reveal us. They activate something ancient in the psyche, something timeless. Jung believed that every human being carries within them a blueprint, a set of inner characters that influence how we see ourselves, how we experience others, and how we navigate life's challenges. He called this shared psychic structure the collective unconscious, a realm beneath our personal memories and experiences, filled with symbolic energy, inherited from humanity's deepest past. And within this collective unconscious live the archetypes. They are not fixed personalities. They are forces, motifs, potentials waiting to be activated. The hero, the lover, the caregiver, the rebel, the innocent, the ruler, the shadow, the sage, the creator, the destroyer, the explorer. Each archetype holds a particular kind of wisdom and a particular kind of test.
And the way they show up in your life can be both subtle and profound. Let's begin with the hero. The hero is the part of you that longs for growth. It seeks purpose, strives for transformation, and faces adversity not to prove something, but to become something. You feel the hero archetype stirring anytime you take a risk to follow your calling, stand up for something you believe in, or walk away from what is easy in order to pursue what is real. But the hero's journey is never smooth. That's because every hero must face the shadow. As we explored in part 1, the shadow contains everything we've rejected or repressed. And the hero cannot fully emerge until it meets the shadow head-on. The battle isn't just with the world, it's with the self. This is why personal growth is often painful, because to truly evolve, we must confront what we fear most, our own inner darkness. But the shadow is not the only archetype shaping us. Let's talk about the lover. The lover archetype is not just about romance. It's the force that connects you to beauty, intimacy, and meaning. It's the part of you that longs to merge with another person, with nature, with creativity, with the divine. But the lover also has a shadow side. When out of balance, it can lead to obsession, dependency, or the loss of self in the name of connection. Can you think of a time when you lost yourself trying to please someone? When your desire to be loved made you betray your own truth? That's the lover's shadow at play. Now consider the rebel. This is the archetype that refuses to conform. It's the inner voice that questions everything, that says, no more, not this. It's the destroyer of illusions and the catalyst for change. But the rebel, if unconscious, can become reckless, destructive. It can burn everything down, even the things that matter. Each archetype offers a gift and a warning. The caregiver teaches compassion, but may become a martyr. The ruler brings order and stability, but can fall into control and tyranny. The explorer seeks new horizons, but may never find peace or roots. And then there's the sage, the inner seeker of truth. The sage is the archetype that watches, questions, contemplates. It is the wisdom figure in myth, but also the still, quiet voice within that says, pause, reflect. There's more here than you think. You connect with the sage anytime you choose understanding over reaction, insight over ego. But beware, the sage can also detach, retreat into the mind, use intellect as a shield from feeling. Each of these archetypes has a role to play in your individuation. You are not just one of them. You are all of them, each activated at different stages of your life, each offering a path, a challenge, and a lesson. But here's what Jung found most profound. The archetypes are not just passive energies waiting to be discovered. They seek expression. And if you don't engage with them consciously, they will live you from the shadows. You'll project them onto others. You'll be drawn to people not for who they are, but for what they represent in your unconscious myth. You'll chase roles, mother, savior, rebel, martyr, without realizing that you're acting out an inner drama. And this is why awareness is so powerful. The moment you begin to recognize the archetypes at play in your life, you reclaim agency. You stop repeating unconscious patterns. You start choosing your path. Imagine if, instead of running from your fears, you understood them as an invitation to meet your inner hero. Instead of falling into toxic relationships, you saw the dynamics for what they really are: lover and shadow colliding in unconscious dance. Instead of being trapped by people-pleasing, you recognized the distorted caregiver within you and brought it into balance with the inner warrior who knows how to say no. This is what it means to live archetypally aware. You begin to see your life not just as a series of events, but as a myth unfolding. You see that your pain has purpose, your obstacles are initiations, and your deepest challenges are not punishments, but thresholds to a higher self. So the question becomes, which archetypes are active in your life right now? Are you stuck in the wounded child, still seeking the love you never received? Are you being ruled by the saboteur, undermining yourself just before success arrives? Is the hero within you, longing to be called forth, but silenced by the fear of failure? Take a moment to reflect. What story are you living? And is it truly yours? Because here's the beauty of Jung's insight. You are not fated to repeat unconscious patterns forever. Once you become aware of the archetypes within you, you can rewrite the script. You can move from victim to author, from echo to voice. And in doing so, you begin to walk the path of individuation, not by becoming perfect, but by becoming whole, by giving each part of your psyche a seat at the table, by listening to the lover and the sage, by honoring the rebel and the caregiver, by facing the shadow, not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Because in the end, your journey is not just about healing, it's about becoming. Becoming the fullest, most integrated expression of who you truly are. So I'll leave you with this. You are not broken. You are unclaimed. There are pieces of your soul waiting for you to return. Will you answer the call? Because your story, your real story, doesn't begin when life happens to you. It begins the moment you awaken to the truth that the hero was always you.